Pancake everyone! There are many places in the world that attract and frighten with their mystery. They are the 6 most mysterious places on the planet. Let's not delay. Let's go! Arkaim. It's a pretty mysterious place. First of all, you need to be able to get here in the right way. According to beliefs, it's not enough to simply buy a bus or train ticket to this mysterious city. Another aspect is much more important here. Will this place want to receive a guest? People come here not just attracted by an interest in antiquity. Quite strange and unusual things are happening here. So, you can spend the night on the top of mountain where it's quite cold and the winds are blowing. At the same time, a thick sleeping bag will not be needed. A cold will not overcome anywhere. They say that all the disease that sleep in the body and sometimes make themselves felt come out in this place and never come back to a person again. People literally begin to break down after visiting Arkaim. The old life loses all meaning. Having been here begins to feel refreshed. Started a lot from scratch. People literally begin to break down after visiting Arkaim. The old life loses all meaning. Having been here begins to feel refreshed, starting a lot from scratch. This ancient mystical city was found by Soviet archaeologists in 1987. It's located at the confluence of the Karuganka and Yutiganka rivers. This is in the Chelyabinsk region, south of Magnitogorsk. Among all the archaeological cities of Russia, this one is without doubt the most mysterious. Once upon a time, the ancient Aryans built their fortress here. However, for some unknown reason, they left their home and left, finally burning it. It happened about 4,000 years ago. White gods. In the northeast of the Moscow region, Russia, this is a place called White Gods. It is located in a tract near the village of Vozdvizhinskaya Sergeyev Posad district. It is worth going deeper into the deep forest, as the correct stone hemisphere will appear to the eye. Its diameter is 7 meters and its height is 3 meters. This place was mentioned in his notes by the famous traveler and geographer Semyonov Temshansky. Legends say that there was a pagan altar here in the 12th by 13th centuries. His idea of something was a trip to the English Stonehenge. There, by the way, according to some sources, sacrifices were also offered to the gods. In the pantheon of ancient gods, good was personified by Belbog. His idols were installed by the Magi on a hill. People prayed to him for protection from Chernobog, the personification of evil. The father of these 2 gods was Sventevit, the god of gods. Altogether, they made up the Triglav, or Trajan deity. This was the image of the pagan system of the universe among the Slavs. Our ancient ancestors didn't build their settlements anywhere. It was necessary to comply with a number of conditions for this. Usually the Slavs tried to build near river banks so that groundwater, ring structures, and geological faults were present. This is evidenced by images from space and an analysis of the location of old settlements, churches, and monasteries, as well as stories that mystical properties of nature manifest themselves in such places. Gutters. There are many mysterious and mystical substances in the Atlantic. One of them is Cape Hatteras. It was also called the Southern cemetery of the Atlantic. The east coast of the United States is generally quite dangerous for shipping. There are islands here called the Hatteras Shoal or Virginia Dare Dunes. They're constantly changing their shape and size. This creates difficulties for navigation even in weather with excellent visibility. In addition, there are often storms, fogs, and swells. The local current, southern mist, and soaring Gulf Stream make navigation in this water quite stressful and even deadly. Forecasters say that during a normal 8-point storm, the wave height here is as much as 13 meters. The Gulf Stream near the Cape flows at a speed of about 70 kilometers per day. 2-meter diamond shoals are located 12 miles from the Cape. They're the famous current collets with the northern Atlantic. This leads to the formation of a very surprising phenomenon observed only in these places. During a storm, waves crash into each other, and sand, shells in the sea fly up fountains to a height of 13 meters. Few people manage to see such a spectacle live and then get out of there. The Cape has many victims. One of the most famous is the American motor ship Pancakes. He sank here on the 7th of October in 1954. Another famous case occurred with the Diamond Shoals floating lighthouse. It was tightly anchored to the bottom with anchors, but strong storms pulled it out every time. As a result, the lighthouse was generally thrown over the dunes into Pamlico Bay. In 1942, he was eventually shot from his guns by a fascist submarine that suddenly surfaced here. In general, sandbanks during the Second World War became a favorite place for German submarines. Their submarines swarm, lit up, and even organized sports events. And all this is under the very noses of the Americans. After the rest, the Germans got into their boats and continued hunting for a light transport. As a result, 31 tankers, 42 transports, and 2 passenger ships were sunk in their area from January 1942 to 1945. The number of small vessels is generally difficult to count. The Germans themselves lost only 3 submarines here, all in April-June 1942. The terrible Cape, at the time, became an ally for the fascists. Those natural factors that interfered with American ships, submarines only helped. However, the shallow depths were dangerous for the Germans too. And before viewing the next place, we advise you to subscribe to their channel, click on the bell and write a comment. This will help us in promotion. Check catacombs. There are catacombs in the town of Jihlava in the Czech South Moravia. These underground structures were created by man. This place has a mystical fame. The passages were dug here in the Middle Ages. They say that in one of the corridors, exactly at midnight, they begin to hear the sounds of the organ. Ghosts were repeatedly encountered in the catacombs, and other supernatural phenomena happened here. Scientists at the beginning rejected all this mystical incident as anti-scientific. However, over time, even they were forced to pay attention to the increasing evidence of something wrong happening underground. In 1996, a special archaeological expedition arrived in Jihlava. She made an interesting conclusion. The local catacombs hide secrets that science simply cannot solve. Scientists have recorded that in the place referred to the legends. The sounds of the organ are really heard. At the same time, the underground passage is located at a depth of 10 meters. There isn't a single room near it that could accommodate this musical instrument in principle. So there can be no talk of accidental errors. The eyewitnesses were examined by psychologists who said that there were no signs of mass hallucination. But the main sensation told by archaeologists was the existence of a luminous staircase. She was found in one of the hitherto little-known underground passages. Even the old-timers didn't know that it excited at all. Samples of the material showed that there was no phosphorus in it. Witnesses say that the staircase doesn't stand out at first glance. However, over time, it begins to emit a mystical reddish-orange light. Even if you turn off the flashlight at the same time, the glow will still remain and its intensity will not decrease. Kyzylkum, there are a number of anomalies areas between the Sirdarya and Amurdarya rivers of Central Asia, which still cannot be investigated. So, in the central part of Kyzylkum, strange rock carvings were found in its mountains. There you can clearly see people in spacesuits and something were similar to spaceships. UFOs are, although often observed in these places. A well-known case occurred in November of 1990. Then, the employees of the Zerfshan cooperative vice traveling at night on the Nevy-Zerfshan road saw a long 40 meters cylindrical object in the sky. A strong, focused, well-defined, cone-shaped beam descended from it to the ground. An expedition of ufologists found in Zerfshan an interesting woman with the supernatural abilities. She stated that she is in constant contact with representatives of alien civilization. In the spring of 1990, she received information that an unearthly flying object was destroyed in near-Earth orbit, and its remnants fell 30 to 40 kilometers from the city. It took only 6 months, and in September 2, local geologists breaking drilling profiles came across spots of unknown origin. Their analysis showed that they couldn't have an earthly origin. However, this information was immediately classified and never officially confirmed by anyone. Chevinda. This unusual place is located in Mexico. In Chevinda, according to the beliefs of local residents, there is a crowding of world. Therefore, no one is surprised that anomalies and mystical incidents occur more often in this area than in other places. In the 1990s, a sensation case occurred here. Eyewitnesses say that it was a cloudless, moonlit night. He didn't even need a flashlight to see what was going on around him. The treasure hunters suddenly heard a horseman approaching them. He was wearing a national costume. The rider told the terrified Mexicans that he saw them from the top of a distant mountain and rode here in 5 minutes. It was physically impossible. The treasure hunters dropped their tools and fled in panic. When they came to their senses, they naturally doubted what they saw. The Mexicans soon began to search again, but it turned out that this was just the beginning. Their new cars began to break down, and within just 1 day turned into old wrecks. No repair could stop this process. One of the cars even stopped being seen on the road by other drivers. Once she was even rammed by a truck, the driver of which watched in amazement as he crashed into an invisible car. Such mystical troubles continued until the Mexicans, who didn't believe in anything before, were forced to give themselves a word that they refused to search for this treasure. Let all this please, most likely someone's joke, they involuntarily terrify. How do you feel about mysticism? Which of the least caused you the most emotions? We will be glad to read in the comments. In the meantime, there was still a pancake with you. Put likes, press the bell, subscribe to the channel. Have a good mood and fair wind to everyone. See you soon.